So, hi everybody and welcome back. This is Unreal Engine 5 tutorial series for absolute beginners. This is video 54, and in this video we will continue actually with our setup for the behavior tree, and we are in task number 5 here. We will set up this random patrol, but before we set this up, let me show you something what I did wrong in the video before. It is not really wrong, it is just something wrong explained. So the point was here, when we are in the BTD task chess player and we are in the function, in the event graph here, not function, and we created this whole thing, and I said when we go here to update walk speed, we don't need rename this value. So we promoted this new walk speed to our value, and I said I keep new walk speed because this one connects the call step from here, from the character, and it makes easy for me to target as a programmer. And that's the problem here, because this behavior tree is actually written for a non-programmer. So for example, you are working with anyone who has no clue about programming, right? And he wants only set up this behavior tree, and he will not watch this code. He is not interested in this one. He will only see, for example, we created this chase player, so he will just make here a task, search the task chase player, and then he will set up the speed. And if I named it now a new walk speed like before, that can irritate it can irritate the non-programmer, because he will read here in default new walk speed. Wait a minute, walk speed or chase speed, or what they want. So it is not absolute clear, and that's why that was the mistake. We have to write it for a non-programmer. Of course, we are programming this one, but we have to think for those who are not, who will not access this code, or who will not open this blueprint at all. They will just work here, and that was my mistake. Sorry for that. But now we continue with the next coding section, which is the patrol. So find random patrol, and you can see it looks a little bit bigger, but actually it's almost the repetition of before. So let's get started. So what we do here is, first of all, we jump into our second task, and it is this find random patrol task which we created. It was empty, but now we will do the same thing actually like here at start. We will get the event receive execution IE node. We know this. Then we cast it again to the enemy, in our case to my enemy, which is this one. I cast it to this one, and my was called enemy AI tube. And with this cast I have access to his properties again. Of course, they are creating here, no, they are not creating here again a new function. They are using the created function from before, because now with this cast we have access, and this function which we created before, we are just using it here. So we reusing the function here. So it makes also sense to set up the function here, because this one is reused. I said also I would perhaps not use this function call in this chase player. Instead, I would just get here the movement speed and set it here. But if I do this kind of stuff, then I can't reuse this code what I write here. I could reuse it with copy paste, but not this way. And still, this one is, let's say, more convenient, but still a little bit performance heavier, but not that much, I think. It is just one call or one few free function calls. That should be okay. Just consider this if you make a mobile game, then you can consider this. If you make a normal game, then I think it's not so dramatic. So, and let's continue a little bit. So they just created here this cast, they just called this function here, and then here this variable, when you call this function like normal update, this was that what we created, update walk speed, and here they promoted this one again to a variable like before, and this time they called it petrol speed. So that was that what I mentioned here at the start. You should make a naming not for you as a programmer. You have to think for those guys who are using this one here later, for example this node here, and they will not know how this node looks like, right? They will not know perhaps what you did here in this coding section at all. They will only see this petrol speed, and then we have again to make it visible, we go to the details panel. One more note. As when I opened this window, this details panel was here on the right side. So if you can't see it, you have probably opened this up here. Or it is just a bug, or it's perhaps only on my window. Who knows? Whatever. We continue. In details panel, we select our petrol speed. Yeah, we rename it. First of all, we rename it to petrol speed. Then we go here to instance editable, and this one, instance editable, I already explained that, is here so that the non-programmer can just click this node here and can, is this, yeah, petrol speed, yeah, and here in defaults values he can just change them. So he don't have to go into the code at all. He don't care about this. Very good. And then so far it was almost the same. And here, if the cast fails, we need again this finish execute node. Why that? Because this event receive execute AI needs one of at least one, and for all cases, so we will have here two, one for fail and one for success. And then, and why is this again so important? Because it's connected to the behavior tree. It will stuck to this node till it finds one of this finish execute nodes. So that's said. So far we did it already in the previous section 2, but now we add a little bit more to it. So what we are going to do is just generate random locations, and how we are going to create this is, so first of all, we get from the pawn, we get the actor location. So with other words, I get the pawn which is here is controlled pawn. Actually, yeah, this one is right. Let's see. We scroll here a little bit down, and here, yes, they used it also, the other controlled. And let me explain this a little bit. So, and because I thought I would get it from here, no, of course not. It's all right. So we get here the actual location, and then from the actual location, we generate random reachable points in radius. What this means is, let's say you have here a character, something like that, and then it makes behind the scene a radius, and in this radius you have then reachable points, and it will automatically find one or not, and depends on that it will continue. So this node is creating this random, and here this radius actually we promote to a variable, so we can set this radius on our own, and we make this also instance editable and with a default value. And this variable should be again made visible for a non-programmer, which means later in the behavior tree, let's go here again in, when he uses this blueprint task here, let's say he bumps in, search again our task like before, what I did here, I don't know. And then it will find this task. Then he can set it up here in defaults value. First we have defined the speed. He can set up now the speed, and here petrol radius. So because, like I said, he don't care about this code. He know only what he wants, and he wants set up the radius where the AI should patrol around. That's it. So we as a programmer on the other side here in this coding section, we have to make this possible. So let's go on. We have set now this node. We have set now this radius, and we are almost finished. That's the nice thing. And what we have to do is here we make a branch. A branch means just checks yes or no, and depends on yes or no, it will continue on the yes or in the no way. So this node here, what you find here, a return node value says yes, I found a point, or I don't found a point. If it's found a point, we go here on and set blackboard value as vector. This one we have to create, and this vector is I explained already a vector. A vector is just a location in our case. This 3 points, it creates 3 points here, these 3 values. So where we are here, so it creates this location. Actually it creates not, it gets this location from here. So it finds first a point in radius, then it gets this location which it's found, and it gives to this node here which set blackboard value as vector. And what is that actually? When we go back to our blackboard here, and we see we have here petrol location, so it will set something here as vector, and here is the key, the petrol location. The key is here, right? Here are the keys. Here we have our keys which we can set, and one of key is here the petrol location, and this is the code section where we can set this. Here I found a location in where I can petrol around, and then I give this to this node here where the petrol location is set. That's it. So it's just a setter more or less for this blackboard here, no more. And then we have to use again this node, this finish execute, which I said is connected to this one. When you create this one, you have to create this one automatically. And here in this case with success, that's very important that we set this success too. And then we have here a no way too. So this was here, it says yes, I found. But what happens if it says no? Then it goes here down, and it creates also it sets also something here in our blackboard key. But this time it is not setting this. Actually it is setting again this petrol location, but careful, it is not using this node here, random on location. What it is using now is actual location. So it found nothing, it stays at his point at this. So he will stay at his current location because he found nothing. So he stay on the same point, and then it says I'm finished, I found nothing, I stay here right now. And that's the setup actually for this one, what we see here. So the petrol goes in, he tries to find a point. If he finds a point, then he will switch to this moves to, and which is patrol to location, and he will try to patrol to go to this location. If he finds nothing, then it will execute, he will stay at this point, and we will see this later more in detail and a little bit more when we finished. and then I show you how this really works without coding, because the coding stuff is then finished, and then we concentrate here only on the behavior tree and how this sequence and the selector works really, and how they move here in front and back and so on. All right, I stop here this video, and in the next video we continue with setting up this AI controller. And this one is again a little bit longer, but yeah, but then we are almost finished because this decoder is very short. It's fine. And then we test this. So one big section, or let's say 2 more videos, then we are finished. And of course, you can follow this on the documentation and read it through to set this to follow. And if you have any questions, ask in the comments, but I think there are not much, because you can just follow the documentation and they explain it perfect. All right, that's it. See you in the next, and bye.